I often don't want to rant mindlessly on this semi-regular series, as that's no good for anyone. No, the point of DV is to discuss and make an overall point on a particular subject, that's why I made the series. But recently, I had a bit of a bad experience when it came to updating one of my favourite games, probably ever, actually. And no, it ain't TF2. As far as I'm concerned, the Halloween 2016 update is A-OK by me. No, it's Payday 2. During its Crimefest 2016 event, or Hoxtons Housewarming Party event, take your pick, was widely considered by almost everyone to be an all-round fantastic event with 10 days of free stuff, a new difficulty, a new safe house 6, new masks, a concussion grenade, a new safe to open, a new medic class enemy, mutators, a new weapon, and panic room, a classic heist from the first game. Overkill was careful to release actually free stuff this time around. No microtransactions, nothing of that sort. The game was genuinely fun to play, at least on Windows. You see, while Windows players could enjoy the updates as they came out, us Linux folk got 5 days of updates breaking the game in some way or another. Let me paint you a picture. Day 1 broke the game entirely, so nobody on Linux could, launch it, which was a little bit insulting to be honest. Day 2 broke access to the safe house, the very point of that day's update. It gave all Linux users 60,000 Continental coins, and if you play the game you'll know why that's a problem, and for good measure, matchmaking broke. Yeah, so you couldn't even play with anyone on Windows. Day 3 updates didn't land at all for Linux users, and Day 4 broke, you guessed it, the concussion grenade. Again, the very point of that day's update. An unscheduled hotfix fixed the above issues a couple of hours later in my time zone, and of course there's no changelog because telling your audience isn't a priority apparently, and days 5 to 9 worked as expected. All the things that I previously mentioned did actually come out on the days that they were meant to, and just when Linux users saw the sweet light at the end of the tunnel, on day 10, the game broke upon launch. Again. For the second time in 10 days. Not the best week and a half for me or anybody else who played the Linux port then. So what went wrong? Surely the devs tested the updates, right? They shouldn't have been that bad. Well, yes, it really shouldn't have been that bad, but it's a bit more complicated than that. Overkill really should have tested the updates before they were rolled out on native Linux hardware, which, to me, I don't think they actually did. There were simply too many mistakes for that to get past QA testing. Days 1 and 10 broke the ability to launch the game, for Pete's sake. Basically, that was a long-winded way of me saying, QA testing, let's talk about it. It's come to my attention that not a lot of people know how QA testing works in video games, and rightly so, it's quite a complicated process. It varies by platform, even by publisher, of course, but the general rules stay the same. QA testing, in general, is just the developer, publisher, and platform holder communicating with each other to make sure the game actually works. Some companies do QA testing internally, though the majority do that anyway. Others do what I just described. QA stands for Quality Assurance, in case you didn't know, and that gives you a better idea on what the process involves. Console QA is supposedly designed so no bugs, or very few, get past the reviews process, and that's another name for QA. Of course, over the years, that hasn't even been remotely the case. The goal of QA is to fix bugs in patches before they go out to the public, which is half the reason why so many PC to console ports are always an update behind, like Smite or Payday 2 The Big Score Edition, though that's more for legal reasons as well. Again, very complicated. If the process changed like it is on Steam, then everyone would be on the same page, same update, etc. This is the real world, and Sony, Microsoft's Xbox division, and even Nintendo to some degree, all check their updates in QA from anything between a week to months on end. The QA test is more of an abused scapegoat excuse for why a game is delayed at this point, when it really shouldn't be. QA testing for a week or two is, on paper, a genuinely good idea. It obviously means that you can, iron out all the bugs. But like with everything that the three publishers like to put out, they want control of even the reviews process. And because this QA/reviews process takes so long, the console version of a regularly updated first-person shooter can almost never be on the same patch than its PC counterpart. In fact, there are very few that are, and are almost always subsidiaries of the console manufacturer, or they just have some agreement in place, meaning QA goes a hell of a lot faster for them. I'm all for a week-long QA testing session if it means my game runs better, runs faster, you get the idea. And because of the open nature of Steam and its automated reviews process, a lot of publishers that put games on Steam do the QA in-house, upload the files to the relevant Steam depots, which then scans it for integrity errors, then said game can be set to be publicly available or private for release another time. In Valve's case, it's now impossible to force QA tests on each game, largely because games like the original BioShock will fail any tests that it won't run on anything higher than Windows 7. That's even if it runs at all. Again, this video sheds a beam of light on the QA/reviews process. Again, they can be used interchangeably, and yeah, I know, it's a short episode, but it must be pointed out that 3/4 of the time, it really isn't the developer's fault if a game gets delayed because of QA testing. That's the publisher's fault half the time. And yes, in an ideal world, games wouldn't need it, but there's so many PC variants out there in the wild, I can hardly blame a few bugs falling through the cracks. It's gonna happen anyway. Also, as a final word to Overkill specifically, dear Overkill, if I, a person who knows very little Lua coding language, can fix matchmaking 2 days before you can, then you have a serious communication problem. Either that, or you don't know how to update Linux properly, or you don't test on native hardware. But since you don't tell us this, we'll never know. Just think about that. And with that, being a little bit optimistic there, thank you very much for listening. Oh, yeah, YouTube finally gave me the go-ahead for those fancy end card thingies that YouTube has been using for a few months now, so, hey, go check out my stuff. On the left I have my subscribe button, and on the right I have 2 videos that I've either selected or I've put on I don't know why I'm doing hand gestures, this is all on the microphone, that YouTube has randomly chosen for you, because of their weird algorithm that never works. So, knowing YouTube that those 2 videos might be the same, YouTube are aware of that. It's something they can't really fix.